Our sponsors for this episode are Hall's Tree Service. Locally owned and operated, Hall's Tree Service has been exceeding and surpassing customer demands in Newton and the surrounding area for over 40 years. Larry and his crew are guaranteed to work hard for you. There's no tree too tall, no job too small. Call Hall's at 316-772-1919. Absolute drain. Look, no one, and I mean no one, likes it when their sink, bathtub, washing machine, or especially their toilets start backing up. It's even worse when they won't drain or flush at all. No matter who you are, it happens to us all. If this is happening to you, then you need to give Garth with Absolute Drain a call. Absolute Drain is located at 420 West Broadway in Newton and has been faithfully serving Newton and surrounding areas for longer than I can even remember. I personally use Absolute Drain, and they have kept my pipes cleaned out and flowing day one. It might just be time for you to give them a call too at 316-283-7264. The Newton Kansan is Newton's longest-running local newspaper covering all the stories, people, places, and things happening in our community. Chad Fry, the Kansan guy, editor of the Kansan, works diligently to ensure integrity, accuracy, and unbiased news is delivered to your doorstep 3 times a week for an unbeatable price. You can also sign up for online-only access for around $7 a month. That's 12 online papers a month for only $7. If you've not subscribed, it's time you do. Visit them in their office at 517 North Main Street. That's 517 North Main Street in Newton. Online at thekansan.com. That's thekansan.com. Or give them a call at 316-283-1500. That's 316-283-1500. Support local journalism, support the Kansan. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to this HCTalk podcast. As always, I'm your host, Lance Gormley, and my 2 co-partners in crime to spread as much love, patience, kindness, and self-control are...
we're going to 1 Corinthians today. All right.
Andy Ortiz, local businessman and entrepreneur, and Chad Fry, the Kansan guy, also known as the encyclopedia of everything local. So if you have any questions, you just ask Chad. He'll know. Yep. How are you guys doing today?
I'm doing great. Chad will know about every game that's ever been played.
No.
The score.
About every meeting, every city meeting, every county meeting, every
school board meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now you're getting into my bailiwick. But if you want the sports stuff, you got to go to the Hall of Fame.
And he remembers the detail. Every conversation, every budget that's ever been showed over the last 30 years in detail.
That's right. All the numbers.
And he's never making mistakes, ever, because he's perfect.
In every way.
Yep. So
the manure is going to start seeping out their ears here in just a second.
If you need any information,
I almost feel like Chad is all about making Newton great again.
Yeah. Let's do that.
I mean, manna.
Have it come from heaven. We might get. We started the program somewhat biblically, did we not?
That was Skylight guy.
Corinthians.
Well, I was trying to change it up a little bit. Instead of spreading hate and discontent across the airwaves, I thought maybe we're spreading love, patience, kindness, self-control, the whole thing.
Let's manifest that.
Yes, manifest it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of people who need all of those things.
I'm one of them.
I got a question. I think we could all use a little bit more in our life, but okay, just right off, somebody said something about manifesting, so I'm having a squirrel moment.
Let's go.
Do you guys believe in manifest destiny?
1000%.
Chad?
I haven't decided yet, and I'm just been on the planet a long time. So
a manifest destiny, I'll just throw out a very loose definition, but if it's okay, so my difficulty with manifest destination, which I believe partly in it, I mean, so there we think, therefore we are, right? If we are positive, if we have self-affirmation, whatever the case may be. But my difficulty has always been, well, I can sit and I can look at myself in the mirror and go, you are one handsome man. You are built like a shit brick house. You are amazing and smart and intelligent and wonderful and great and all these things. I'm so pro-positive, right? I'm successful. I'm going to be successful. I can tell myself all that and just really be lying to myself.
It depends, right? Like,
I'm going to make lots and lots of money.
If you think through things and you set your sails and you're taking action against things, I think there's a book that's out there that talks about the same thing, and it's about a person who built some medications, and they started off with making a pill. And this is real. There's studies done on this from the CIA all the way down to local doctors, right? And they started giving people basically like sugar pills.
Yeah, placebo effect.
And saying, hey, this is going to make you better, right? And I'll have the book and I'll post it down. When you post this, I'll post the book underneath.
Okay.
The Psycho-Cybernetics, right? And it's pretty interesting because there's a lot of different ways to go about this, but here's the basics. People felt better. There was one person that had major severe depression. It's like a chemical imbalance.
Yeah.
It's real. You know? Gave them this pill. Within 2 weeks, it kicked in. They were doing better. They were feeling great. They were out conquering the world. And it's so interesting that a sugar pill could make different actions. There was also studies done, targeted, where people walked into a work office space. And they said, hey, you don't look well today. And the person was fine. And then the next person said, hey, you look a little sick. Are you okay? And then they're like, man,
why am I sick?
And then the next person said, hey, you're not looking well. Next thing you know, I got to go home. I'm sick.
Yeah.
And they went home sick.
And they were fine.
But they did this on purpose. And there's other studies that are even deeper. This is surface level stuff.
Yeah.
But the fact that you are your mind and your thought process and you willing yourself through things is very powerful. And you hear about this like when people do like Navy SEAL training and things like that and all the studies behind that. And even how they play psychological warfare against the guys to test them on certain places, to knowing all this information and how it works, and they deploy it against their trainees to test them and to push them and to let them know this is how powerful your mind is. And they do things that most humans think is even possible.
Yeah,
because of their minds.
And I think that goes back to how impressionable we are, right? That goes back to show me your friends and I'll tell you your future. That goes back to positive thinking. That goes back to negative thinking. It is very interesting what you're saying, because I have read some about that. The placebo effect is ultimately the overarching thing that it's talking about. And what's interesting to me about that is knowing on the flip side that this individual was succumbing to a true physical, we'll say that person with depression, true physical ailment. I mean, the whole thing, chemical imbalance in the brain, debilitating in some people's lives.
Absolutely.
And
There's
then all
different
of a
layers
sudden,
of it.
they say, hey, I've got this brand spanking new medication, and it will cure 99.9% of people that have depression. And it's that faith and that belief in that substance, a sugar pill, that then has the ability to alter the brain in order for the brain to believe that somehow or another that this is going to fix the problem. And I wonder, is that applicable in so many ways to someone's lives? I mean, surely we're not that impressionable as human beings.
First off, we're talking about manifesting destiny. We're not talking about manifest destiny, which was the doctrine that led to all of us swarming this continent and taking it over from the people who were here. So when we're talking about manifesting your own destiny, yeah, I'm there, but it has serious limitations.
Which is like reality.
You know?
Yeah, well, like if you're hit by an ugly stick and you're just looking at your mirror and saying you're beautiful, you could be beautiful inside.
Yes.
But you ugly.
Well, I'm a realist. like for real.
Yeah, no, that's real though.
Yeah.
And there's layers. That's where there's layers to it.
You end up with a terminal illness for which there is no cure.
Cancer.
Your brain is not going to get you out of that. And oh, by the way, death is a reality for every human being on the planet. If you believe that the Bible is recorded history, as I do, in recorded history, there's only 2 people who left this planet alive to never return and remained alive. Every one of us will leave this planet through death. And no amount of trying to manifest your own destiny is going to prevent that. You will not live forever. That said, I met a really wonderful human being just a few days ago. She's on her 3rd cancer battle. She is in her 80s. She is the spryest, most amazing person I've met in a really long time. So I think she's going to beat this thing again. And her attitude has a lot to do with it. But it's not her attitude alone.
Right.
Right? It's not what she's manifesting alone.
So, okay, so can we say that, I mean, if we were to put a percentage out here, we'll just call it 50-50, right? I'm just going to throw out a percentage here. If I'm somebody that is pro-positive and believes that I can see where I'm going and I know if I put enough hard work in, or whatever the case may be, or like some, if I'm suffering from an ailment of some kind, if I continue to stay positive through it, that has a physical property and matter to it, like it's not the all in all, but yet it's a portion of it.
So many ways this comes out. My mom, during my high school years, my mom was a school cook, and I would help in that kitchen, and I would with the prep right before lunch. I mean, honestly, they gave me a pass, so I'm like, dude, get out of 15 minutes class, you bet, or wash dishes or whatever else. And there was a morning I went down there. It was a cinnamon roll day. Those were the best days. And I walk into the kitchen, and she looked right at me, and she said, "What's Bruce wearing today?" Bruce was the biggest troublemaker in our school. Hands down. No second place. And I said, T-shirt, blue jeans. And Mom went, "Oh, we're going to have a long lunch." And at the time, I mean, I didn't understand. I just didn't get it. But I asked later, because she started asking me almost every day, "What's Bruce wearing today?" And I would tell her. And sometimes it would be, "Well, today he's got the blue button-down long sleeve shirt on." Oh, good. She could tell a difference in his behavior based on what he was wearing for the day. She coined a phrase about him that was, "Look good, be good."
So there's an element of that too, I think.
Right.
Yeah, like
that's all part of it, right?
Identity is a
your
big
mind.
deal.
It's the mindset.
I'm a firm believer that identity is a huge aspect of who we are as individuals. If we think we are, this comes down to the last thing we'll talk about, so we can do this. But the perception of garbage in, garbage out, right? The perception of how we think of ourselves as who we are. For instance, we all have life experience, right? You mentioned the biggest troublemaker in school, and man, when I was in elementary school, I had severe ADHD, just tons of just behavioral problems. I was always ready to roll, not set down, just really a very difficult, we'll just say a difficult person. Probably still am, people would say in some instances, but a difficult kid, right? I was a difficult kid. So if I would sit there in that and say, well, I'm just a difficult kid, then you almost accept that as reality, and then therefore be that. Same thing with people that struggle with addictions, right? Well, I'm just an alcoholic. Or it doesn't even have to be negative. It can be, I'm a car guy. If I'm a car guy, then there's a certain identity that goes along with being a car guy, and so then therefore you manifest. If I'm a cowboy, what do cowboys wear? It doesn't matter whether you actually have a ranch or a farm. You have a cowboy wears cowboy boots, blue jeans, a belt buckle, a shirt of some kind, and a cowboy hat, right? Maybe never got on a horse, but I'm a cowboy.
I think one of the tricks is being careful how you let others label you.
Wow, good call.
Because I worked at a mental health institution here locally, and I was there at that place for probably almost 4 years, maybe 3.5 years, while we were building businesses in the evening and stuff. And this place in particular had this test that you would take. And everybody took the test, and I didn't want to take the test. And people don't know this leads back to my elementary school. With one time we had a coach who said, hey, if you're this way, get over here, and you're this way, get over there, and if you're like this, get over here. And I was in the middle. I was the only kid that didn't go in a little quadrant. And the coach said, well, where are you? And I said, I'm a little bit of everything, right? And I'm a little guy at probably 4th grade, 3rd grade. So as I get older, I've watched people through this lens of I don't want people to put me in a box, right? Quarterback, middle linebacker,
Right.
kicker, kick returner. I
Running
did all
back.
those things.
Yeah.
It's like I'm not one. I can do different ones, and depending on what the team needs, I can fill a gap.
Yeah.
I might not be the best quarterback, but on this team, I might be the best quarterback.
Right.
I might not be the best, linebacker, but on this team, I am the best linebacker. And so my ability or whatever God did to me to allow me to see this piece, I think is important. So everybody would take these tests, and I mean everybody. I think I was probably the only one that didn't take it. And I ended up taking it way years later, which is interesting. But this test would tell you kind of what your leanings are. And we all have this stuff, right? Natural instincts, inclinations, things like that. But I want to refuse
The label.
that.
Yeah.
Because I would see people always refer to in conversations about the label that was given to them
Interesting.
to the point of nauseam. And some people really leaned on it for everything and started using it as a building block and a crutch for all the indiscretions because of their label. And I picked up on this
Like
stuff.
an inability to get better, right? If the test says Lance is an introvert, Lance gonna have difficult times in big group meetings, or has a difficult time focusing on small group meetings or these interpersonal relationships. Well, I take this test and it tells me that, so therefore I am that.
Right.
So then it's like, oh, well, the reason this happened to me was because of this. I mean, I took the test and the test told me that I was, an introvert. So then I'm an introvert, instead of saying, well, I may lean towards being an introvert, but if I'm for self-betterment, then maybe that's an area to work on in order to be and challenge myself to do activities that would generally be left for people that are extroverts, right? Is
Right.
that kind of where you're at, right?
There's a lot of
I don't
schools
want to
of thought.
concrete anything in my brain to say I am a certain
But here's
way.
the bigger picture, right? So Nate Regier has an amazing company that goes out and helps people and helps teams for people to understand basically that, right? What is your leaning, your natural leaning? And he's more open to going deeper, which saying that doesn't mean that's all you are, all you have to do.
Right.
And you can change through life,
Yeah.
through experiences and through different groups that you're involved with. But my core is that person that doesn't want to be labeled,
Right.
that doesn't
Right.
want to be put in a box,
Right.
that wants to be free-willed, and that's why I do what I do for a living naturally, right? It's more of there's some people that could not stand and would not be able to function in the world that I live in because it's just how it's who I am.
Well, a lot of what you do is thinking outside the box, right? I mean, you wear many hats, and we've talked about everybody wearing many hats. I mean, we all wear different hats at different points in time. Well, with that being the case, then we have to accept the fact that we can be multifaceted beings. I'm surprised we went down this rabbit hole because I think this is real talk.
And this rabbit hole kind of started with be careful of what you allow others to label you as.
Exactly.
And that's a great piece of advice. There's a second piece that needs to come out, and that is that do not internalize nor believe the label. Okay? If I were to have internalized and believed the label my freshman year of college, there is no way that I would be anywhere near what I'm doing today. None. I was labeled. I kid you not. Now, granted, this was 1990.
Wow.
His back probably hurts right now.
It does. It was 1990.
And neck and feet and knees.
But as of
Damn, I was like in elementary
I thought you were
school.
lying.
as of 1990,
Pooping my diaper still.
a college professor sat me down and said, "You have set a record. We are going to have to work really hard to get you through school because you have set a record. You are the biggest introvert we have ever enrolled in this college."
Wow.
And I'm like, "Why are you so?" He's like, "I'm scared. You cannot curl up into a ball in your room. It's not going to work." And I kind of looked at him and I went, "Well, yeah, I kind of like being by myself once in a while, but I mean, seriously?" But that was the label.
And then was born the party guy.
Yeah.
The Chad.
The
party
Chad.
guy. I'm pushing
And I
against
was,
the
man.
grain.
I was the
Like,
guy
you
that
want to say that about me? And guess what,
Watch
buddy?
this, baby. My midnight rocker's gonna rock.
I was the one
That's
that
when Chad
drove
got
out
into
to the
black market
grasshopper.
alcohol sales.
Oh
You
boy,
know, I
he was
mean-
the one going through the back door and coming out with all the bags. Of
Oh, I'm the at Bethel. I was the guy that took 3 cases of beer across the green. I mean, in the middle of the afternoon. I mean,
They left you alone. And they're like, Chad, he's coming out of his shell.
the truth, but the truth is too that I didn't internalize that label. I didn't allow it to control me. And if what I did do was say, okay, this is what people are going to say about me. This is, I mean, someone I respect has sat me down and this is what he has said about me. So if that's not who I want to be, then I need to figure out who I want to be and I need to make it happen. And, you know, I had that was at Heston. At Bethel, I had a professor who we were kind of talking one day, and he was trying to decide if he wanted to put me into a management position on the volunteer radio station. And I told him, I said, I have had to work really, really hard because this is what I've been told I am. And there's a test result that kind of confirms this. And he looked at me and he said, nah, you're the guy that's always asking, how are you? You're the guy that, I'm like, okay. So I did the hard work.
Yeah.
So don't succumb to the label.
Yeah,
It's
because
okay to be aware,
Yeah.
but don't own it to the point of,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know.
Almost like a litmus test of where I am right now. Right?
Right.
Like if I take that test, let's say whatever that is, and there's strength and there's weaknesses, that's not the end all be all, right? I can say, well, here's my strengths and then here's my weaknesses. Well, if these are my strengths, generally speaking, if you have a strength, it's not going to get less over time. Right? When you learn something and you are educated about something, let's say you know how to do some general maintenance on a vehicle, you're not going to lose that. You know, that's a strength. But when you're talking about a weakness, right, then, well, I need to work on this weakness and therefore bring it up to a strength. That's just about self-improvement, self-betterment, right?
One more thing I want to say before we tie this up, and I'm glad how you wrapped that out and made it clear. I want to make this other side clear. Flattery is a real thing. And sometimes on those tests, you see things that make you feel really good. And a lot of us need that. So seeing those things that you may be gifted in, or you may excel in, or they're telling you these are your strong points, be careful to control that too. Not just on the bad side, but on the good side.
Yeah. I had before we move on to what's going on in the Kansas, because what we just talked about, we'll be able to circle all the way back through with the very last topic that we want to cover briefly. Just, we're going to stay away from national topics this week, generally speaking. To be honest, with the last podcast, I felt like I was getting a little bit emotional about what was going on, and I think rightly so and justified so, and I think I'm tapping into the same frustration that
You're
many
not
of
pissed
us are
because
tapping.
of the Pam Bondi and the Epstein files anymore?
Oh, you mean no.
Throw a grenade in
We're
the
not
room?
focusing. We're not focusing on that. All I can say is that the Dow is above 50,000.
Okay. That
So
makes
that's
it
what
okay.
we need to be focused on. And after I heard that
that makes it good.
rationalization, yes, I mean, I took a
I
step
thought we
back.
lost Lance there for a
right.
minute.
I took a step back, and I was like,
We're about to lose.
Sorry,
it is. Here's
Andy. Throw it in the room and walk away.
And I'm like, they have a point. The Dow is above 50,000. I mean, really, that's what we should be talking about. That's
Why
what
are we
we should
worried
be
about
focused on.
hundreds of thousands of predators walking around our communities?
Baby
you know what I'm
eaters.
saying? Like, hey.
Yeah, cannibalists. Yeah, even now. And who knows, I'm sure there'll be an AI video that comes out of a nice fine dining restaurant somewhere on Epstein Island where they're consuming.
But in other countries,
yeah.
it's not as big of a deal. We just need to get over ourselves.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, hey, all I got to say, once again, okay, this is all I got to say. I looked at myself in the mirror. I said, you know what, Lance? You know what? You're getting emotional and up about some stuff, and it is important, but you have to really think about what's the most important thing. And you heard Pam Bondi say it, okay? Pam Bondi said, the Dow's above 50,000. And I thought, you know what? She's right. She is right. I need to focus on what really matters.
How
really
dare
matters.
we get off track?
I mean, how did I get off track? I mean,
I'm
anyway.
disappointed in
okay,
you.
okay. I
thought we had grown past this.
I'm trying. I decided,
We
what?
are capitalists
I'm going
here.
to turn off every other thing besides Fox News because I cannot listen to all that nonsense, and I just need to know that Fox News has everything and anything that I need to watch, and I just need to watch
But
it
it's got the
24
worst
hours
polling.
a day cycle.
It's got the worst.
But that's
polling.
probably a CNN thing.
No,
I actually had somebody that
the
questioned us about
Fox
last
News
week and
is the
said,
worst
MSNBC.
polling.
where did you hear this at? Where
Here's
did you
the
hear this
one.
at? And I said, well, it was reported on CNN. Oh, well, that's not a trustworthy news source. But then they did admit that Fox News, and you know who I'm talking about. I'm not being critical about that. I love this person as a human being. I know him, and I do.
This is the
I
problem.
do, man.
This is the problem.
Yeah.
But we won't talk about that today.
Okay, so yes, all I gotta say is the Dow's above 50,000. No matter what's happening globally, your retirement's doing better, so you should be just fine. Let's forget the fact that it's because inflation is rising astronomically and our dollar's not being backed by gold and everything else that's taking place. So I mean, really, money, 50,000.
And your property taxes aren't going up too much.
Well, I
and your
mean, oh no,
health insurance hasn't skyrocketed all that much.
None of that. Don't. Hey, Chad.
Well, I'm really being serious about this one. I'm so glad it didn't go the other way, even though it's not as good as I was hoping it would be.
Well, hey, you know what? I tell you, it goes back to our
truth.
same conversation of where we are doomed
Neither side
with the two-party system to
this
pick the
point
lesser of two evils.
has my attention, especially the left, the hard left, especially the transgender crap at 13 years old. That I'm done with all that crazy. But I'm also done with this Trump can't do nothing wrong crazy on the right side. And then them thinking he's a real Republican and being jackknifed that way.
Well, that's because it's a floating definition.
It's just a big circus now.
It's all floating definitions.
It's a big circus.
We've talked about on the program
Let's not talk
before.
about the circus because these people that want the circus probably aren't going to listen to us.
Yeah, let's talk about.
We want those people that are going to call BS.
For the analogy, right? If we're going to talk about a circus, what's smaller than a circus? We'll say a petting zoo. So let's talk about our own petting zoo that's going on right here locally. Chad, what's in the Kansan?
Good one.
Wow.
I'm telling you, dude, I'm a lyrical gangster from the dirty, dirty western Kansas. You don't even know how fast this brain's going. I figured out how to tone the body down, but the brain still runs 1,000 miles an hour all the time.
I think I should probably point out, and it's just because I took phone calls at home over the weekend. Good ones. That we editorialized a little bit on the bond issue. And we tried really hard to not tell you how to vote. We tried hard. And I'll be honest, on my about 7th read, I kind of was like, I'm not sure I was successful in that. But it's because I dropped a whole lot of hints that which way I was going to vote. By the way, I did. I've done the job.
Let me guess.
Chad couldn't wait to vote.
And
He's in his professional capacity, so we can't do this. We can't move on.
but you know the reason people were so happy about what they read is that we gave full acknowledgement and expressed an understanding of why you would not vote for this bond issue. And you know what, I get it. I'm at home doing my budgets too. And I've seen it, you know, the stuff on social, and it's all I don't mean to be a jerk, folks. I'm gonna sound like one, but all y'all telling everybody to not vote for this, every one of you are bringing out the same argument and the same statement. And newsflash, it has nothing to do with our school district. And most of it, nothing to do with any decisions made by our school district. And you don't even discuss how the money is going to be spent. You're all PO'd, and I'm with you, that your mill levy has skyrocketed, your appraisal has skyrocketed, your health insurance has skyrocketed, groceries are costing a ridiculous amount of money, the utility rate just went up again. I'm with you. But understand, not a single one of those things is a decision that was made by our school board. Okay? Except maybe the mill levy. They might have upped it here a little bit. But if you want to complain about upping mill levies, go complain to the city. They're the ones who, within the last 5 years, on the same year that we had a record increase in the average appraisal, put together a record increase. And that's more than 100 years of recording, folks. A record increase to the mill levy on the same year.
Well, yeah.
So I get it. And by the way, the school bond and the school district, this is the only one you get to vote on. So I get it.
And that's generally speaking why I think many bond issues here locally, I'd say regionally, recently have been unsuccessful. It's
and you know what?
Of all this going on, and this
of
is the
all
only
the
one I have
people,
control over.
Of all the people to listen to about that, about on this one, President and CEO of Hillsborough Industries, he's the guy. He is a stud because he sat at a forum put together by the Harvey County Economic Development Council and the Newton Chamber of Commerce, and he sat at a forum and hit a freaking bullseye. And this is a paraphrase of a quote, but he said, if this passes, it has nothing to do with support for the school system and everything to do with the increases in taxes and local expenses. That's what this is really about.
Yeah.
He's 100% right.
Well, and I got to go here. Okay, so
that's in the can. That was in the cans and on Saturday. So I'd really encourage people to give it a read.
I think that somebody might have screenshotted that and started sending that around too for people to read it, Chad. I'm not 100% sure, but because it was in the Saturday paper, maybe I'll go back, screenshot it, and share it around. You know,
I might want to mark that as free on my website. So.
Right. Well, if you would be so kind, Chad.
Well, I'd share the hell out of it if you did.
Yeah.
I'm still wondering what you voted. But,
Yeah.
Trust me, folks. The ones that are listening, they're out there.
Yes.
That's the and straight up. I mean, we started talking. You know, we're trying to talk about the petting zoo or the big show. Honestly,
it's our big one.
Voting day is the 3rd of March. This is the big show.
It is the big one.
For us, it is. See, and that's the thing I think people get flipped. I mean, it's funny as we continue down this path of doing these podcasts, I have a really good memory, I'll say. Exceptional, which I'm very thankful for. God blessed me with it, whatever the case may be. But I can just so many times think about us having covered a lot of the same topics and issues in the past. And it's not like we do it to where we're just cyclical, but I can almost say, well, we talked about this in the past, right? The conversion of definitions, right? We've talked about like what is the most important thing. Local is the most important thing, and people get it twisted where they're looking at all this other stuff that's out of their control they can do nothing about, and then the one thing that's in their control, the elected official that's accessible to them, the city commission, the county commission that they can go to, and they can, it's like, I'm against this policy at a national and a state level, but since I can't do anything about it really, then I'm going to go locally, and then the brunt of everything that's going wrong falls down on local government. But I want to say this, and this is my MPA talking, okay? I think people have to realize, you have to realize it takes money to operate government. It takes money to operate school systems, cities, counties, water districts. It costs money, okay? And the only source of revenue, right, that these entities receive is tax revenue. And in some instances, grants, right, which is ultimately a lack of tax revenue that is getting captured from another entity based upon them setting aside this money for grants. It doesn't just come out of thin air. If HCTalk decides we're going to give $5,000 for scholarships or a grant, okay, because we want to have an improvement to a specific park, let's call it the Railer Foundation, okay, and what they're wanting to do, then that is going to go against or work in my favor. So that's less taxes that HCTalk has to pay based upon my giving to an organization or nonprofit. So one way or the other, it's all tax dollars, folks. Okay, and when you're talking about the way to look at it, if you have an issue with how much money is being spent at the city level, then go dig in and find out where there's waste, right? Now, we all have opinion, okay? So if Newton has 10 parks across Newton, then you can adopt the philosophy that maybe we don't need that many parks, all right? So if you want to make the argument that we don't need that many parks, therefore we can reduce spending when it comes to having 5 parks instead of 10 parks and the upkeep of those parks, which then has has consequences to that, therefore spending less money. But when you look at what really costs the bulk of the money when it comes to like a city or county budget, in those instances you're talking about law enforcement.
Yes,
you're talking
are.
about fire and EMS. You're talking about wages for people to do these jobs.
Which brings up a couple of stories that I've either published or are getting ready to.
And let me cap this real quick, Chad. I want people to realize this, and then I'll turn it back over to you. But because it costs money, if you want to make an argument, a real tangible argument to whether or not the school district deserves the bond or doesn't deserve the bond, then you need to go get into the books, spend the time, and figure out, well, where are they misappropriating money? If you can bring up ways that the school system is misappropriating money, then we can have that discussion. But as much as I have tried to go through and say, well, I disagree with the administration on what they're doing or how they're doing it or what they're spending their money on, folks, there's not really a lot of waste. And these administrators are trained professionals to ensure there's not a lot of waste.
There'll be consequences, but I just wanted to help with that cap before. And it's just, thank you, Chad, for giving me just 1 minute. There's a guy online here just yesterday, and there's 2 of them in particular that I'm glad you're opening this door, because here's what he said. It says, it's because unless the director of maintenance stops fraud, waste, and abuse for public funds, we will see this again in a short amount of time, which doesn't really make sense with everything else he was saying. But that statement alone, stops fraud, waste, and abuse, is a national slogan for a certain group of people, and it is real.
Yeah,
there are things happening.
Yeah.
But when you have those books that I have sitting over there on the table with 6 years of year-to-year budgets, and I have them all stacked up over there, and it's every dollar that comes through the school system and where it's gone, it's unfair if I was to spar with this guy, and this same guy doesn't even know how it's taxed or where the money's coming or who spends it, because he's manipulating or grouping in the city with writing the check. which is a real telltale sign to anybody halfway plugged in that that's not how it works.
Yeah.
It's that language that has led our state legislatures to start meddling in the school lunch program.
Manipulating.
The school lunch program, which, by the way, I hope there's a legislator listening. That's federal money. That's a federal deal between the local school district and the federal government. What the hell is our legislature doing there?
It's a campaign slogan.
What the hell is our legislature
Or
doing there?
anti-education.
They're rooting out fraud, waste, and abuse. We're using our buzzwords. You have no standing. You have no place. You do not belong there. That is a federal program,
And see, I'm of
not
the, yeah.
state.
And I'm of the mindset that I don't think that any child should have to pay, or any parent should have to pay for a school lunch. Period.
So you're seeing an editorial that's going to be coming.
I publicly went out on that one.
Yeah.
And I
Yes.
got jacked for it, but I still believe that we should fight for that.
Yeah.
Especially in our community, given what we know
Yeah.
and how it's chopped up.
Yeah. And then the kids that would qualify based on that federal program, then they
It
get
does jack up the
reimbursed for
budget.
that.
I get it.
Yeah.
It hurts us because we don't have a bunch of money to throw around, and we do have to have a little bit for emergencies, and that will come up. And if we don't change our boiler out and we don't get roofs done, guess what happens when we have to do that in an emergency situation? And God freaking forbid one of our elementary school buildings gets hit for real. I know it's a low chance. I get that. But there is a damn chance.
Yes.
And we have nothing to protect them right now. I mean, these are real things, right?
Yeah.
These are real issues. And I want my grandkids to grow up here. This isn't about my kids. And I have to start thinking of what kind of community do I want to be competitive with everybody, where my grandkids will want to be here. What does it look like? Because it's not what we got right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Chad.
So
First responders.
yep. First responders. So our sheriff opened up a conversation last week about reimbursements for the county jail. Okay? And there are three specific reimbursements that he is chit-chatting about. Federal prisoners, of which there are very few. Okay? 2 years ago, he was budgeting based on 22 federal prisoners every day. The number is now sitting around 5 or 6. And the numbers are just nuts, man. So when you get 22, you're talking about revenue in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. Same for state. Okay, we house state prisoners in our county jail as well, and those are reimbursed. Both the Fed and the state are reimbursed right now at about $85 a day. Editorial comment: that rate needs to go up. It needs to go up significantly. Also at the county jail, they are housing municipals. Okay, so these are not arrests made by our county sheriff. These are arrests made by our city police. Those folks are being housed for $35 a day. And the actual cost, and it varies because you have a lot of static costs that don't change based on whether there's 50 people or 100 people or however many in the jail. So that daily cost for housing an inmate at the jail hovers between $85 and $90 a day. That's why some of these numbers need to go up. Now, Mr. Gay astutely, wisely, and smartly made the statement when it comes to municipals, he doesn't know if he wants to do anything with that rate or not, because it's all the same taxpayers.
Yeah, but whose budget does it go on? It's
county.
You know, yes.
It's county.
How county eats it.
It's county that's eating it. But it's so when he says it's all the same taxpayers, initially he made comments that suggest that he sees that it's all the same taxpayers for the states and the feds, and he's not right there. But when you're talking about the city folks, he's right there, right? So if he's charging, let's just say that somewhere along the line the decision is made that they're going to start charging the city of Newton $85 a day so that it's covering their actual cost for an inmate to be there. Well, guess what? Me, as a city of Newton taxpayer, when I'm paying my taxes, I'm paying on that inmate twice. Because I've got to pay to help the city get to $85 a day, but I'm already paying the county to maintain the jail.
Yeah, well, see, and that's the... Okay,
so you end up being taxed twice. I feel the same way about some of our fire and EMS services and some of the chicanery that I've seen over the last little bit, namely EMS services telling the county that they're not being paid enough, and I agree with them. They're not. Because...
Like the reimbursement that the county pays into...
Exactly.
Yeah.
The contracts are not, in their words, those contracts are not sufficient, and they're not really covering the costs. Well, who's eating that then?
The city of Newton.
The city of Newton or the city of Burton.
Yeah.
I mean, you pick one.
Right.
Right? City of Walton, they've got a fire service. That's who's eating that. So when one of those agencies responds to an unincorporated area of the county, that's what's supposed to be covered underneath the contract. And if the contract is not sufficient, who's going to eat the extra? The folks in the city. That's who's eating it. So I get it when he's talking about, with city inmates not wanting to, mess with those rates a whole lot because he doesn't want to see guys like me basically paying twice.
Yeah, and also, we don't want for this to be the case, but I think in many instances it is the case because, for instance, right, wrong, or indifferent, there are so many programs that have now been instituted in the state of Kansas to try to keep people out of KDOC because of the cost of KDOC.
Correct.
So if we can do this or this, ultimately, I don't know if it comes down to, and it might be whoever looks at it the way they look at it, because I don't think that, that we should just incarcerate everybody. I think there are times when that's necessary and times when it's not, and that we should try the best as we can as a society to err on the latter, which is if this person doesn't need to be incarcerated and there's some other way that we can manage this population instead of there. But it does come down to money too.
It does.
Right?
And that's what spurred the whole conversation was a letter.
Here's what you don't want. Here's an unintended consequence that you don't want. Not saying that law enforcement would do this in any way, shape, or form, but you don't want for it to become a money issue, which is, well, we could arrest this person and that's going to cost us $85 a day, or we could just let this person go and do what they're doing, whether it's self-harming or not, and just let them go on their way, and it's not costing taxpayers any money. I mean, that comes down to the citizen. You don't like the amount of money that it costs for law enforcement. I guess we can have less law enforcement. We can slash that in half.
I can tell you
what kind of a community are we going to have?
I can tell you a very real and practical way where the money influences decisions. Okay? Because Harvey County has a contract with Reno County Youth Services, aka detention.
Bob Johnson's, at least that's what it was before.
Yeah. Well, it's
something different now.
Bob Johnson's is the actual official name for the emergency shelter.
Okay.
But because everything's in the same building, everybody just calls it Bob Johnson's.
Okay.
So, but anyway, I digress.
Everything.
But we have a contract with them, and we have a contracted rate, and that rate is about the cheapest rate we could get with anybody. Okay? Sedgwick County's always full. We'll never get a contract. We'll never be able to place a juvenile in Central County. That's just the reality. We're working on getting in a contract with, I believe, Douglas County. We do not have one yet. Here's the deal. Douglas County, Girard, Garden City, Dodge City, all of them, they cost more money than Reno. And I haven't done the spreadsheet yet, but it's coming, so that intake workers will know 2 things about every one of the detentionary centers before making a call. 1, what's the drive time? That's money. That's about money. Because we have to pay deputies, taxpayers have to pay deputies and police officers to drive kids to and from these detentionary placements. So it's cheaper to go to, for example, Douglas, which is 2 hours and 8 minutes, to Girard, which is 3 hours and 18 minutes. Okay? That's all in the spreadsheet. The next thing coming is the daily cost. And then decisions I will be making and some of my partners will be making are going to be, well, Reno County's full again. It's full more than it's not. And so where are we going to send this kid? And it's going to be, this is the cheapest place.
It's unfortunate that we have to. I mean,
that's it's the reality of where we are.
Right.
Okay. The letter that Chad Gay got about these pay rates was from the Department of Corrections, telling him that the maximum that he could ask for is $112 a day. So you gotta ask yourself, why are we not charging $112 a day? And Chad made the comment that if we're not making money, why would we even bother? And he's 100% right. Why stick a federal inmate in here?
Yeah. And lose money.
Yeah.
Ding.
Yeah.
Right?
The math does the math.
Yeah.
And federal inmates, that includes ICE, folks. Why would we mess with that if we're going to lose money?
Has ICE raided the schools by any chance yet?
No.
Why not?
I don't know. ICE hasn't been all overly active in Kansas yet.
Not in the schools, though?
So
only in states.
I was told they were
only in the
hitting
states.
schools.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's a whole nother.
Well, look it up. Look it up. How many times has that happened in the country?
I don't know if it ever has. Yeah.
But it's everywhere, though. And they're hitting schools. It's just so wild, our vortexes that we choose to live in.
Yeah.
Both sides. I'm
Yeah.
done.
Both sides.
Yeah.
Both sides.
Yeah.
So that's one. The other thing that's coming out of the jail is that last month there were 30 shifts where there were no female deputies.
And they have to have a female deputy.
Compliance,
They
right?
have to.
And that's regulation.
Yeah, I believe
there's
it
all
is.
there's all kinds of great beyond
It's
compliance
obvious.
with the
Searches
Federal
and-
Rape Act
Yeah,
thing.
PREA, I think is what it's called.
It's like, who do you want doing pat downs? Well,
Yeah, my sister's in there. I don't want a dude patting her down. Done.
exactly.
Yeah, or strip searching them.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm like,
it doesn't matter.
You got a peppermint stuck somewhere. You
Yeah.
gotta come in this room.
Yeah.
I'm gonna check you out.
It doesn't matter. You'll be PO'd
It
that she's
opens up
in
the
there.
door.
You'll be PO'd at her, but you sure don't want a dude
Well,
patting her
we don't
down.
need any extra
and-
trauma.
Well, and
You're
just
right.
to protect
Yeah.
everybody. I mean, to protect everybody, to protect the law enforcement officer, to protect the inmate, to just keep everything above par.
That's right.
It makes sense to have that, right? It really does.
You know,
'Cause
we
the
have
next thing you
we
know
have
is,
a fairly new policy at intake that all of our kiddos need to be escorted to the bathroom. I'm not escorting a teenage girl down to a bathroom.
yeah. For
No
what
way
to
in
be-
hell.
For what to? Yeah.
So if there is not a female deputy, female officer, just to give you an idea how desperate this can get, female secretary from either of the departments or a female dispatcher, if none of them people are available, I'm sorry, honey, you're just gonna have to sit. I can't.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's ultimately this comes full circle back to taxes, tax dollars, and what people are willing to pay for what anything else. Okay, Chad, we are getting long in the tooth. So, what do you got? Anything else you want to cover real fast that's in the can? Just tell people a quick blip about maybe some headlines, and then have them subscribe to the
Are you
cans.
releasing the Epstein file thing yet?
No, I'm not releasing any Epstein file stuff. It doesn't raise quite to that level, but I would really like it if you guys would take a look at my Chad Fry, the Kansan Guy Facebook page, because I started a poll yesterday. Donkey basketball was on Monday night. It was a fun time. I'll never say it wasn't, at least not publicly. But attendance was not great. So I set up a poll, just kind of asking people, what are the events that you want to go to? What are the things you want to do in this town?
Very cool.
It's not scientific, but it'd be great for people to participate.
Get in there and participate. Okay, gentlemen, I think I'll just cover this to say real quick, and we can all comment on it before we give our final words. But, at the beginning we were talking about identity, perception, reality, positive thinking, negative thinking. Can we control what happens to us based upon the way we view things? And I... and then I covered the fact that I just wanted to take a break on national news this week because honestly, it's like, right? Compared to if you want to go back and listen to last week's podcast, I was getting a little excited about it. But, I think I want to reiterate to people again, okay? You are in control of your algorithms, okay? There is an element of you watch something for 3 seconds to decide that you really don't want to watch that, and it counts it as watching it, okay? So you need to be careful with that. But there's also ways that you can go in and say, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. And you can unfollow things that you don't want to see. You can tell your phone, your algorithms, remember this personal assistant, basically, that you have, that's largely driven by AI, if you want to look at it that way, that will put information in front of you that it thinks you might or might not want to see. You have to tell that assistant, I don't want to see this. I want to see this. I don't want to see this. I want to see this. Recently I was just testing that out a little bit even more, and it's like, I'm going to unfollow some of this toxic stuff because it is toxic, right? And I'm going to choose to unfollow this and follow this, which I believe is pro-positive. And a couple of them were just Bible verses every day. That's pro-positive for me. I'm going to use this as a tool, okay? As a tool. But to use it as a tool, you have to manage it. And I think so many people, the analogy I was thinking of is, it's like, this is the river. This is the river. And so many people swim out into the middle of the river, this raging river, and they just lay back and they put their arms back and they just let it go. And that river is going to take you wherever it takes you. It might drown you, it might sink you, it might dunk you, it might hold you underwater, it might kill you when it's all said and done. But what you need to be doing, or my suggestion is, okay, look down the river, figure out what you need to do in order to get to one bank or the other. And once you get to the bank, it's okay to put your feet in. It's okay to go up to the knees. It's okay to go waist deep. But the most dangerous thing you can do when this is the river is swim out to the middle and let it take control of you instead of you controlling it. Final words, guys. We are coming to the end of the program, so I apologize. We were going to talk about that. If you got anything to add to that, do that now. Otherwise, just final words, and then I want to end on a feel-good story, and I'll try to condense it as much as I humanly possibly can. Andy, Chad?
Final words. The election has started. Early voting is at the courthouse. It's going to be, as of when we post this and when people start seeing it, it's going to be active today, it's going to be active tomorrow, and then it's going to be Monday through Saturday next week. You got no excuses, folks. 5 minutes of your day, get heard.
Good one, Chad.
So we'll be working pretty hard over the next 2 weeks. So I am. My final word is it's not a big secret that I'm pushing hard to get this bond pushed through. And to each their own, right? I don't hate you if you're going to vote no. I just don't agree with you. And I would caution people when you're listening to people that don't know how funds work and are trying to articulate themselves and they just have no clue. Don't be afraid to push back and ask questions. And if they cannot even understand how things are paid for, how are you going to listen to them on how to vote? Because that shows you that they have no skin in the game. They have zero boots on the ground, and they're just not involved. It's very reactionary. And I know people are busy, and I'm not trying to shame anybody, but I'm getting sick and tired of people with big opinions that are nowhere to be found when it's time to get in the dirt and get work done. So I am overly invested. I've got 6 years of my life with a bunch of time put in during COVID and everything else, showing up to meetings, readjusting my life around things that need to be done at the school district, had to make hard decisions that makes everybody I know at some point in my life pissed off at me. And I am bought in, and I think this is the right thing to do, is to vote yes. So right when we're done here, I'm going to go vote yes for the school bond, and I'm going to try to take as many people with me as I can. And I am aware that I am biased right now because of the amount of investment I have, but it really irks me when I see people with practically no investment that are wanting to jump on this bandwagon and beat us up, but yet won't sit down with me and have a cup of coffee. So I did message Mark Ward, if you're listening, and you have not messaged me back after you said you'd meet with me. And I think that's a coward-ass move. Just saying. Being honest.
I got a feel-good story. Not necessarily a final word, but I thought I got to utilize this program to talk about this, so I'll try to talk fast and get it in a condensed form because it is kind of an interesting story. I was having somebody come over yesterday and work on my internet. They were supposed to be there between a certain time and a certain time. They came later to it because they were busy. The minute that this person got out of their vehicle and walked up onto the porch, there was a cat that had hung out at the neighbor's house for, I don't know, however long, months maybe even, right? And he goes over and he goes, "Oh my God, that's my cat." I'm like, "Oh, that cat hangs out at the neighbor's house." And he's like, no, this is my cat. I know. He picked up, "Oh my God, I love my cat. My cat, it's been lost for 2 months. My cat's been gone for 2 months. We posted on Facebook. We tried to search for this cat. Anything we could do, we tried to find our cat." And I can't even remember what he says. And I'm sitting there thinking, man, this guy's going to be heartbroken when he finds out it's not his cat, you know? And he's like, "Oh, it's chipped. It's everything. This is my cat. I know this is my cat. I know this is my cat." Okay. So, because he doesn't want to just confiscate the neighbor's cat, right, that now has a collar and has been getting fed and watered by the neighbor, so the kindness of the neighbor to have this cat, the whole thing, take care of it, thought maybe it was in need, thought she'd help take care of the cat. Okay, so he calls the police, then tells them, "Hey, this is my cat. I found my cat. You know, I live 3 miles away from here. This is my cat." Okay, well, anyway, animal control comes out, scans the cat. Sure enough, the cat was chipped. It was his cat. And it was the cat's 4-year-old birthday that day. Now, I want you to do the math on that. Because I just kept thinking, man, what's the chance? What's the chance, right? Time and chance. I wonder what the statistic on that would be, right? It's the cat's birthday. The cat went missing 2 months ago. He comes over on an off chance just to pick up a call to be able to do his job. And I'm sitting here petting his cat. That's the neighbor's cat. So what I think what I'm trying to get to here is how I want you to think about it. How many times in your life has it honestly just come down to a mathematical anomaly, a complete mathematical anomaly? And in my belief, something that's a complete mathematical anomaly can only be attributed to the man upstairs. Have a good one, everybody.
That's good.